Classmates. In the component container, scroll view component is often used. Scroll view component is mainly used for area scrolling, similar to the scroll effect in H5. When rendering pages in WebView, the scrolling performance of the area is not as good as page scrolling. The use of the scroll view component is very common, especially for vertically scrolling pages. It is used very frequently. Next, let's learn about the scroll view component. The scroll view component mainly has the following properties. Scroll X indicates whether horizontal scrolling is allowed. Scroll Y indicates whether vertical scrolling is allowed. Scroll Top sets the position of the vertical scroll bar. Scroll Left sets the position of the horizontal scroll bar. Scroll into view attribute is used frequently. It scrolls directly to the position of the element with the specified ID. Scroll with animation sets the transition animation used during scrolling. There is also an important event handling attribute at scroll, which is triggered when scrolling. Let's take a look at this example, which includes both vertical and horizontal scrolling. During vertical scrolling, the scroll top attribute is set to the scroll top variable, which is initially set to 0, meaning it starts scrolling from the top. Do you see? The scroll bar position starts from the top. Then, scroll Y attribute is set to true, indicating vertical scrolling, and the class attribute is set to scroll Y, which is the scroll still class. The entire height of the vertical scrolling area is 500 rpx, with overflow set to hidden. This represents the event at scroll tupper when scrolling to the top. You see it scrolled to the top and executed the upper method. This is the event for scrolling to the bottom at scroll turlor. Scrolling to the bottom, you see, scrolled to the bottom, executed the lower method. This at scroll attribute means that the scroll event is triggered whenever there is a scroll. You see, the scroll method is executed whenever there is a scroll. This attribute indicates whether to use transition animation. How many view blocks are there inside? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 block elements. Right. They are defined as individual color blocks, each with a height of 200 rpx. Altogether, it definitely exceeds 500 rpx. There are a total of 7 blocks, totaling 1400 rpx, which exceeds 500 rpx. The entire height of the vertical scrolling area is 500 rpx, so it scrolls. Let's take a look at the important return information obtained during scrolling. One of the frequently used return values is scroll top. You see the information content changing. For example, when scrolled to here, you see scroll top patterns 450. When scroll top is 0, where should it be scrolled to? Now that scroll top pattern value is 0, doesn't that mean it's at the top? So if you want to scroll to the top, what value should you set that scroll top variable to? To 0, right? Meaning, if you want to scroll to the top, like here, scroll to the top, just set that scroll top variable to 0. The scroll top pattern value is in that detail object. Here, the scroll top pattern value is 0, because it's already at the top. Now let's see how to implement the scroll to top feature. For the scroll view component, to implement the scroll to top feature, generally 2 steps are needed. The first step is to assign the current scroll position's scroll top value to the position of the vertical scroll bar. The second step is to set this scroll top variable to 0. Put it inside next tick or set amount. Because as mentioned earlier, when scrolled to the top, its return value, scroll top is 0. A scroll top attribute value of 0 means it's scrolled to the top. By these 2 steps, the scroll to top feature can be implemented. Let's look at the code. For the scroll to top feature, implemented in the tap-top method. In the tap-top method, implementing it is also very simple. The first step, this scroll top variable equals this temp scroll top. Because whenever you scroll, the current return value of scroll top will change. After the return scroll top value changes, this temp scroll top variable also changes. The scroll top variable changes accordingly. The second step is to set scroll top variable to 0 again. Why do we have to change the scroll top variable first? If not changed, let's see what happens. It can't scroll to the top. Of course, changing the scroll top variable doesn't necessarily have to be changed to the temp scroll top variable. You can change it to any value you want. For example, can you change the scroll top variable to 3? It can also achieve scrolling to the top. It's not necessary to change it to the temp scroll top variable. Why is that? Because in UniApp, its page update works like this. It's an asynchronous update. Note: in UniApp, it caches this data for updating in a cycle, and then updates it during an update cycle. If you don't change the scroll top variable, the initial value of the scroll top variable is 0. Now you set the scroll top variable to 0 as well. Doesn't it mean the scroll top variable hasn't changed at all? So will it scroll to the top? It won't execute this operation. So the scroll top variable must be changed. You can change it to any non-zero value. For example, changing the scroll top variable to the number 9 is also valid. It can scroll to the top. Of course, changing it to the temp scroll top variable will change its value with any scroll. This is the first step. The second step, why does this scroll top equals 0 have to be placed inside next tick? Does it work if it's placed outside? Let's take a look. Placed outside. Let's see. Can it execute the scroll to top feature? It also can't execute it. Why doesn't placing this scroll top equals 0 outside of next tick work? It must be placed inside next tick or inside set amount. Because using the next tick method allows the callback function to be executed after data update. Next tick is called after the DOM is updated, ensuring that you get the latest data. So it must be placed inside next tick. The fundamental reason is as mentioned earlier. UniApp inherits the update mechanism of Vue, adopting asynchronous update mechanism as well, making the interface smoother, without immediately triggering interface repaint due to data changes, thus improving application performance. So in our UniApp, when updating data, it won't immediately update the view, but caches it in a queue. Then, when the browser repaints or reflows, UniApp takes the data out of the queue and redraws the view. This mechanism means fewer updates, so the interface is very smooth. This asynchronous update has many advantages, such as reducing unnecessary rendering, improving performance, but it also has some challenges. Like just now, if this scroll top equals 0 is placed outside next tick, it won't update immediately. To achieve this asynchronous updating effect, Vue defines the next tick method. It is an important tool for asynchronous updates. Its purpose is to wait for UniApp to complete all pending DOM updates, and then execute the callback function inside the next tick method, ensuring that our code executes updates at the correct time, and avoiding some common asynchronous update issues. Of course, using setumout is also possible. You see, it's also possible to achieve the scroll to top feature. Generally, using the next tick method is recommended, because it is more suitable than setumout. Setumout is a tool for executing a function after a certain time, while next tick waits for DOM updates to complete before executing the function. They can be used interchangeably in some cases, but when dealing with such asynchronous updates, next tick is better. Just now, we implemented the scroll to top feature. Now let's take a look at horizontal scrolling. The following example demonstrates horizontal scrolling. Horizontal scrolling is similar to vertical scrolling, except that scroll X is set to true, while for vertical scrolling, scroll Y is set to true. The rest is basically the same. The width of the entire scroll view is 750 rpx, and each square inside has a width of 300 rpx. How many squares are there in total? 6. The total width is 1800 rpx. So you see, this is horizontal scrolling. Classmates, today we learned about the scroll view component and implemented region scrolling. Its usage is very extensive. Pull down refresh, pull up loading, vertical scrolling, and horizontal scrolling can all be achieved. It also has many attributes. I hope everyone studies it carefully. This class ends here. Thank you, everyone.